All-American race, the Daytona 500. This is a presentation of Fox Sports.
It's opening day for NASCAR's Busch Series. Today from Daytona, engines will roar, hearts will race. Daytona will once again be a field of speed. You'll see Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, and Martin Truex Jr. The 2005 series of Busch Racing starts right now on Fox.
And here we go at Daytona. Nearly $2.5 million on the line. Talk to the drivers. Ask them which race they'd rather win than any other. And they're going to tell you it's right here. Daytona in February. Excited. The drivers are wound up. We're wound up. Are you guys ready to go? Okay. To Matty.
Dick, today marks the first of a 35-race run to the NASCAR Busch Series Championship. Martin Truex, he's chasing back-to-back championships. Meanwhile, his car owner and friend Dale Earnhardt Jr., he's won 5 of the last 7 Busch Series restrictor plate races. The goal is the same for everybody else in the field, whether it's the winner's check or the champion's trophy. It's can anybody stop? Chance 2. To Jeannie Zelasco.
Oh, buckle up because we have lots of youth and inexperience. Except for Joe Nemechek, of course, with 29 restrictor plate starts. Kevin Harvick aside, positions 2 through 9. We are talking just 8 plate starts. 2 of those drivers have none, absolutely none to speak of. It's why one crew chief told me this one's going to be exciting for the very first lap, Steve.
Jeannie, this weekend's races will be seen in 150 countries in 23 different languages. Fans from 20 different countries have bought a ticket to come here to Daytona. They come from Australia, Japan, Switzerland, and Sweden. Proof that racing on the high banks here at Daytona is the greatest show on earth.
Welcome to the Hershey's Take 5 300 on Fox, brought to you by Take 5 Candy Bars from Hershey's. From our Hollywood Hotel, Chris Myers, and on behalf of our entire crew, welcome to the 5th season of NASCAR on Fox. Big weekend, of course, the Daytona 500 tomorrow from now through June. Every weekend, this is where America gathers for NASCAR. Tomorrow, we drop the green flag on the Daytona 500. Right now, Busch Series racing on center stage, and my stage partner, as always, former champion crew chief Jeff Hammond. Good to see you again. Ready to rock and roll here?
I'm ready to go.
All right, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has won the last 3 February Busch races here at Daytona, but he qualified 26th fastest. What does that tell you about what we'll see from him today?
You better be watching. That's what you better be doing right now, because he's going to be coming from the back to the front. I can promise you that. Even though he didn't qualify very well, the DEI cars always perform, so far superior than anybody else. So when they drop that green flag, he'll be finding him some dance partners and making his way to the front. You see him right now talking to the veteran Randall LaJoie, so it'll be exciting. Michael Waltrip at his 20th Daytona Busch Series race. That, of course, leads all active drivers. All right, let's head down to the track. Martin Truex Jr., of course, last year leader of the band as he won the Busch Series championship.
Martin Truex Jr. has quickly become a proficient restrictor plate driver, 3rd here in July, and he won the race at Talladega. You're starting 23rd, Dale Jr.'s 26th. What's the game plan for today?
I'm not sure yet. I don't know if we should ride around the back all night like Bobby Helms did last night, or just go to the front. I guess we still need to talk and figure out what we want to do, but our car is going to be real good. Some reason we qualified bad. We were pretty disappointed in that. It seems to be par for the course for us this week. Seems to be all our cars don't qualify, but They've been really good in the draft, really fast. Me and Junior's both cars been able to go to the front of the packs in draft and practice and lead. So hopefully we can stay out of the wreck and we'll be there at the end.
The good news is Steve Burns has got some friends in the back to help him go to the front.
Well, Matt, 2005 was nearly the complete Busch administration as Big Brother Kurt was winning the Nextel Cup title. Kyle was hooked up with Martin Truex in a great points battle. You're going to run Cup this year, but you start here at Daytona on the front row alongside Joe Nemechek.
I'll tell you what, these Lowe's guys have worked an awful hard over the winter, and they have brought me an awesome car here today. And we're looking forward to trying to take this Lowe's Shopvac Chevrolet up to the front and keeping it there, obviously starting second today. But, you know, we wish we would have had about a half more of a tenth in order to sit on the pole. It's just a great car. It runs really, really well in the draft as well, too. And all three restrictor plate races.
Kyle, pardon the pun, there's nothing Busch League about the Hollywood Hotel.
Steve gets because he cares. Somebody pull on his mic cord. All right, I've worked my way down here on the pit road at Daytona with Tom Enquist of Hershey's and a special Take 5 fan giveaway.
We're excited to be in Daytona today to sponsor the Hershey's Take 5 300 and to give one lucky Hershey's fan the chance to win the actual pace car from the race today. Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Woo! Oh, man! This has been a dream, I'll tell you what. Oh, my God!
Mark Westover from Oregon, the lucky fan winner in the Take 5 giveaway. His wife had entered him in the contest, didn't even know about it. Now they'll be riding in style thanks to Hershey's and Take 5 of the people here at Daytona and Chevrolet. Hey, 24 hours away, NASCAR on Fox returning big time. 47th running of the Great American Race. 43 drivers clashing in a fast, fierce, high-paced 500-mile event. 1 Eastern, 10 Pacific in high definition here on Fox. We've got some highly defined racers ready to roll in the Busch Series when we come back. '27th Busch Series race to be held here in Daytona, and we welcome you back to the Hershey's Take 5 300 on Fox, brought to you by Take 5 from Hershey's. A number of storylines to watch. Jason Keller in the 35 car competing in his 237th consecutive Busch Series race. Shauna Robinson in the 23 car, the only female in the race today. Let's go down trackside now for the opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the United States Naval Station out of Charleston, South Carolina present today's colors. And now, will you please welcome Dr. Tim McNeil as he delivers today's invocation.
Let us pray. We celebrate today, O God, our heritage, our tradition, and we thank you for this opportunity to offer our gratitude to you. We pray for these who are ambassadors of speed. Grant them wisdom, care, and courage as they run the race before them. And grant to us hope, promise, and possibility as we build new bridges into our tomorrows. Shalom and amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please remain standing and join Miss Florida, Jenna Edwards, in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave, o'er the land of the free
Thank you, Jenna Edwards.
Drivers have come from 25 states to participate here. We have a driver from Mexico City as well. As you observe the flyover here, the sun-soaked crowd ready for racing. Busch Series 2005 has arrived on Fox, and we'll bring it to you live as soon as we come back. Don't go away. Welcome back. Getting ready to go Busch Racing on Fox. Youngest driver, Reed Sorensen, who just turned age 19. He'll be on the 41 car. Oldest driver in today's field, Jeff Fuller, at age 47. In the number 7 car. Let's check in down to the pits area, and Jeannie Zalasko. Hey, Jeannie.
Hello. After picking up his 6th consecutive Top 10 Busch Series championship finish last season, maybe Jason Keller just needed a challenge. He certainly found a way to supersize expectations. How about putting your team together just 6 or 7 weeks ago? Crew chief Pat Smith told me, oh yeah, January 3rd I hired just about everybody that you see out here. Cutting his teeth at Daytona. Of course, I've got a veteran driver. Dick?
41-year-old Joe Nemechek will start on the pole. He is the local hero, a Florida resident. Starts on the pole for today's race. He has been coming here since 1990 and has had a chance to win half a dozen or more of these events. But he has failed to finish half a dozen of these events, even though he's had strong cars. Today, Nemechek determined to finish the race in first place. Let's go to Chris.
All right, thanks very much. Of course, Tony Stewart has finished second 3 times without a win in the Busch Series. We'll get a look at him today. We have 3 Rookie of the Year candidates, Jeff. But what about their crews or crews that haven't been able to really get ready for this race or as ready as they'd like to be?
Well, that's one thing I'm going to be watching for right now is the fact that the mistakes that might be made on pit road, not only by the pit crews themselves, but the drivers who haven't had an opportunity to make a pit stop so far. The Nextel Cup drivers who've already raced in the 150 and had a chance to maybe run the Budweiser shootout, they've got a definite advantage. So I'll be watching pit road. It could be the defining factor as far as this race is concerned. All
right, pit stop. How about just stopping without flying? Last night, an exciting truck race. Most of you saw it on Speed, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Rick Crawford with a wild ride coming out of turn 4. Look, Lance back on his wheels. And Kerry Earnhardt involved 7 other drivers as well. Chad Chapman was another one involved here. Dennis Setzer involved in this one as well, along with Terry Cook and Robert Huffman. The final crash happened as the white flag flew. Jimmy Spencer, the number 2 truck, was leading Bobby Hamilton, but watch closely because they're going to finish. The ultimate decision is by the light, the caution light that comes on. Spencer thought he was the winner, but then when they checked it, NASCAR said no, they pushed him back. And last year's Truck Series champion Bobby Hamilton took Spencer's place and starts 2005 with an exciting win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. As you can look at the results, and we certainly might have some of that excitement today and in the Daytona 500.
It always is. I mean, it's going to be a wild one, I'm sure.
And as we get ready for the command to start, let's head down trackside. We welcome you to the Hershey's Take 5 300 and those famous words.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back our Grand Marshals, Chris Bodine, Executive Vice President, Merchandising and Advertising of CVS Pharmacy, and this year's honorary Hershey's Take 5 300 Grand Marshal, Nashad Hussaini.
Nashad, will you do the honors?
Drivers, start your engines.
We have 5 past Daytona Busch Series winners competing today. 8 Busch Series champions competing. They've won 10 Busch Series championships. A lot of experience, a lot of inexperience, which should make for an exciting race. Let's join the guys who will call it and the voices of NASCAR on Fox. Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy. Hey, Mike.
Thanks, Chris. Hi, everybody. Every year since 1959, when this Speedway was built, there has been a Saturday race, and for a long time at this distance, 300 miles. Darrell Waltrip has won 5 of them, including the fastest 300 ever won here. But Darrell, we're hearing a lot about inexperience. 8 of the first 11 drivers in this race have little or no time on the track at Daytona.
Yeah, well, you've got young drivers, you've got fast cars. They've got all the resources in the world. They're all backed by Cup teams, Cup pit crews, Cup owners, high expectations. Young guys make bad decisions when you put them under a lot of pressure. They're going to have to learn. They're going to have to go to school today, the school of hard knocks.
Ooh, let's hope not. But Larry McReynolds, the aerodynamics package that NASCAR has installed on these Busch Series cars means that there won't be a lot of follow-the-leader racing.
No, they'll be doing everything but running in a single file. And I love this aero package. It's an aero package a lot like we ran on the Cup cars about 3 or 4 years ago. It enables these cars to pass, run side by side. We'll see bump drafting, hopefully only on the straightaways. They'll be running 4-wide when it's pretty treacherous running 3-wide. And this is a challenge and a lot of pressure, whether you're a veteran driver or a rookie.
Well, hopefully it won't be like last night's truck race where there just wasn't enough room on the track or even in victory lane for the number of vehicles that wanted to be there. Chris?
A warm Central Florida day here at Daytona. Dale Earnhardt Jr. going for his 4th straight win at a Busch Series race here at Daytona in February. He'll have a lot of competition. You'll see it all on Fox. Fox, glad to have you with us. We welcome you to the Hershey's Take 5 300. It's a kickoff weekend. Of course, tomorrow, the Daytona 500 on Fox. Mike Wallace actually won the last Busch race in July here, but Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s dominance in these February races, something to watch for. Jeff Hammond, who will give him the best challenge today?
Oh, I think you got to look at guys like Kevin Harvick, Joe Nemechek starting on the pole. Even young Kyle Busch, I think he'll be a force to reckon with. But the start of this race is going to be a real antsy time for a lot of these drivers because of all these young kids that are up here, not too used to this type of a package. It's going to be exciting.
Let's get a check out of the starting grid. Mike Joy has that.
Here's a look at our Mr. Clean Auto Dry Car Wash starting grid for the Hershey's 300. Front row, Joe Nemechek, 5th Daytona pole, 8th front row start here in 17 attempts. Kyle Busch, last year's series runner-up. Paul Wolfe, only his 6th Busch Series start, and last year's rookie Paul Menard. Row number 3, 19-year-old Reed Sorensen and Childress development driver Clint Boyer now in a full-time ride in the 2-car. Veteran Kevin Harvick, who's finished 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th in 4 attempts, and Justin Labonte running the full schedule. J.J. Yaley for Joe Gibbs and Johnny Sauter, last year's runner-up. Denny Hamlin, only his 2nd series start, and former champion Greg Biffle. Shane Meal in the 32, and Tony Stewart in this race for the first time in 5 years. Michael Waltrip, 19 previous starts, and A.J. Fike, a rookie. Veteran Tim Fedewa with Casey Kane, one of 14 drivers who will also be in the Daytona 500 tomorrow. Sterling Marlin's another of those. Hollywood stuntman Stanton Barrett. Robbie Gordon driving his own 55, finished 3rd last year. Last night's truck winner Bobby Hamilton. The Busch Series champ Martin Truex Jr. and top rookie David Stremme. Years past, David Green, the 94 champion. Dale Earnhardt Jr. wearing number 81 today. Michel Jourdain from Mexico City in his first Busch start. 2-time champ Randy LaJoie. Carl Edwards out of the Truck Series. Old friend Kenny Wallace and his older brother Mike Wallace right behind, along with Ryan Hemphill in the winning car from last year. Keller, Ashton Lewis Jr. both have new rides for 05. Stacy Compton and Curtis Davis in remission, back behind the wheel. John Wood, new driver of the 47. Shauna Robinson got a call last week to return to this series. Veteran Jeff Fuller, former modified champ, former champion Steve Grissom, along with Derek Cope and Jeremy Mayfield. Darrell, good bit of experience, but they're sprinkled through the field.
Yeah, there is. And one thing that the young drivers always seem to fail to realize, this is a 300-mile race. So you can be patient. You can give and take a little. And these guys, they just don't realize that you know, you got to be here at the finish. Hang around. You'll get a good top 10 finish if you don't wreck.
Can you keep that young driver of yours calm?
Well, and that's a big challenge for not only the crew chief, who is like the head coach, but the spotter, because he's like the defensive and offensive coordinator for these guys. And just remember, there was a lot of crew chief changes and swaps in the Busch Series. And remember, this is these guys' biggest race of the year.
One thing every one of these 43 drivers is going to have to remember is for the duration, 300 miles, there's going to be heavy traffic everywhere I go.
The anticipation mounting for the Hershey's Take 5 300 here at Daytona International Speedway, kicking off the 2005 series for Busch Racing. The voices of NASCAR on Fox, Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, Mike Joy, the guys that will take you through the entire season with NASCAR on Fox, high above Daytona. Let's rejoin them now for the start of this one.
Wow, we've been doing practice sessions and qualifying sessions on Speed Channel all week long, and all we've been saying is, come on, let's race. Come on, let's go racing. Finally.
Yeah, well, what makes this race different from all the others this week is there's points at stake today. So guys are points racing. There's a Busch race. The guys in there are Busch points racing. Then there's Cup guys in here that are just out here to have fun and maybe pick up a little extra cash. Mainly get a lot of information for tomorrow's race.
And now our crack meteorologist, Larry McReynolds.
Well, I know it's awfully hot down here. You see right there, the air temperature is 62 degrees, and it's getting hotter the whole time. But this is something that we'll watch closely as the track temperature. As that continues to come up, it'll go over 100 degrees. These cars will start sliding around, and that's another challenge for these crew chiefs to make sure they make the right adjustments on these cars during those pit stops.
Darrell, the aerodynamics are very different than when you won this race, but I think what's most different for the drivers must be the restrictions on their vision by the safety equipment in these cars today.
Very little peripheral vision. I mean, your head is tethered by the Hans device, and so you can't turn and look at the guy beside you. And you got those huge headrests sticking up there beside of you. You can see how some guys have cut them down even where they can get a little view out to the left or the right, but mainly you're at the mercy of the mirror, your rear view mirror up here at the top. Most guys got a little side mirror over on that left row bar, and then your spotter, man. You got to live by your spotter.
6 of the last 10 300s at Daytona have been won by a driver who started on the front row. Joe Nemechek and Kyle Busch are those drivers today.
And Mike, if you're a young guy here with no experience or a rookie here, you're not used to having that spotter tell you everything you got to do. You're used to kind of finding your own way around the racetrack. Here, you got to listen to everything he tells you.
And you've been practicing in groups of about 15 or 20 cars. Now it's 43 cars in that pack.
Yeah, and the wake turbulence is just incredible with this aero package.
Time to get the 2005 NASCAR Busch Series season underway as the Corvette pace car hits pit road.
DW, it's been 3 months. It's going to be a wild ride. Let's get this party started. Reach up there and pull them belts tight one more time.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Carburetor restrictor plate that pulls the horsepower back on these engines. It'll take almost a full lap for these cars to get up to speed. When they come back to the start-finish line, they'll be running close to 190 miles per hour.
Now, we have out of bounds in racing, and there's a yellow line that you see down to the right of your screen there. You cannot go below that yellow line and improve your position. If you get forced down there, you've got to let the guy back in front of you or you'll be black flagged.
Kyle Busch, younger brother of the Nextel champion, leads the first lap.
What a shot.
Quickly, the field is broken into 2 distinct paths. Matt?
And we talked to Martin Truex Jr. in our pre-race show, and he said he didn't know what the game plan was, but the game plan now, the 8 of Truex and the 81 of Dale Jr. dropped to the back. Martin said he saw what happened last night in the Truck Series race. They want to just fade to the back and ride things out for a while.
He is 33rd, Jr. is 35th.
And last night in the truck race, Bobby Hamilton, the winner of the race, rode at the back of the pack all night long until the last 10, 15 laps. He came charging through. Where did he come from and where did he end up?
From the back to first, victory lane.
Neither Paul Menard nor Kurt Boyer has challenged Kyle Busch for the lead, but here in mid-pack, that 18 is J.J. Yaley.
And you see right there how rough this track is and how these cars bounce around. That's the reason the track's plenty wide enough for 3 cars, 4 cars, but as they're bouncing around just like they are right here, then that's when you get in trouble, is when someone makes that little mistake.
Man in the middle, 55, Robbie Gordon. If Jimmy Spencer were to ever hand over his title of Mr. Excitement, Robbie Gordon would be there with his hand raised.
Yeah, and Larry's talking about the cars bouncing around. When they move, when they raise up and down, they get air under the front of them. That air will pick the front tires up off the ground, or at least that's how it feels to the driver, and it makes his car steer into the car beside of him.
Reed Sorensen, the 41, the 19-year-old, dropped back to 9th. Now, Steve, he is picked back up to 8th position.
Hey, Mike, right before the race, Reed told me he watched his very first Daytona race when he was 5 years old. This is all he's ever dreamed of. Before the race, Chip Ganassi, his car owner, said, think big picture. You don't have to win Daytona. This is just one race in the championship. His crew chief, Brian Patty, who was with Joe Nemechek for many years, said, hey, watch those cut guys. They're going to bounce you around. If you drop back, you've got a good enough car to get back to the front. Don't panic.
That's a tall order, Darrell, because for 3 months they've had nothing to think of but Daytona.
Yeah, and of course, this is the big show. I mean, this is what it's all about right here. This is as big as it gets. Pull this one off, boys. You're off to a great start.
Top of your screen, left lane, Sorensen has moved to 5th. Ahead of this pack.
You saw J.J. Yaley, the 18 car, see how he got squirrely, he had to jump out of the throttle. He bottlenecks up like the 20 car of Denny Hamlin.
And
Hamlin is his teammate, and he checked up for him rather than go around.
And that's what happens here. Guy in front gets the car out of shape. Guy in front gets his car hit. He got to let out of the throttle. The guy behind him runs into him. That was on purpose there. It wasn't an accident. These guys, some of these young guys, all they know is they hear about bump drafting. They're not real sure what it's all about, but they'll learn in a hurry.
Third Daytona start for Kyle Busch. The first time that he has led the 300 here.
Five 300 Busch Series Racing from Daytona, brought to you by Take 5 the Candy Bar from Hershey's. On the pole, Joe Nemechek started the day. Jeff Hamlin, the biggest mover and shaker so far. Tony Stewart, who started 14th, has moved all the way up to 4th now.
Yeah, he's really been on the march right now. Just a few laps ago, leader then, Kyle Busch, he got shook out and he got bumped all the way back to 6th place. And Paul Menard is now leading his pack, but the 33 car looks like he's got a pretty good little ride right there, and he's got Kevin Harvick, kind of pushing him up through there.
We have 14 drivers who will be, of course, in this race that are in the Daytona 500. One of them, Kyle Busch. Let's check in on him with Jeannie Zalasko.
Well, Kyle Busch, as you're watching him drop back, getting on the radio saying, look, air is starting to get underneath the nose, getting into the corners. Kyle Busch, 24th place finish here last year, says he is a much better driver now. He's hoping that he has gained enough respect from the other drivers that they will work with him this time around. New crew chief Jim Long saying, look, I know one thing about this kid. Kyle wants to lead, and we're going to see it in his driving style all day. Dick?
Well, Joe Nemechek would like to lead as well. He only led from the pole. He is now back to 12th position. The car just plain too loose, even for Joe Nemechek to hang on. In 1998, he won this race with a car that was incredibly loose. Anybody can hang on to him, it's Joe, and he has got his hands full right now, hanging on to that number 87. Mike?
The lead pack is 26 cars long. 24-year-old Paul Menard is out in front. But Darrell, this race has separated into 2 distinct packs, and not because there's a bunch of slow guys back there.
No, what happened was those guys listened to our opening. We talked about young guys, fast cars, no experience. You've got 3 really experienced guys back here, Dale Jr., Michael, Martin Truex. They elected to fall back away from this lead group, out of harm's way, banking on something happening up in the front.
But Darrell, what I do not like about this, as you say, they're banking on either a caution. We know we're going to have some pit stops coming later on in the race. Is they're losing anywhere from 3/4 of a second to a second a lap to that lead pack. And as this lead pack gets smaller, the potential for a problem gets smaller.
Yeah, it really does. And following up a little bit on Joe Nemechek, he was on the pole by a considerable margin. Sounds like he went with a more qualifying setup than he did race setup, because these cars were impounded after qualifying and you couldn't make any changes to them.
And remember, we talked about the 14 drivers that'll be in tomorrow's races. In this race, Joe Nemechek was the only Cup driver that elected not to practice this morning. I think the track has changed since these guys were on the track yesterday. They ran the IROC race and the truck race last night.
There is the lead pack headed up by Paul Menard, and it's about 3 seconds back to this group, and it includes the 95 of Bobby Hamilton, who used just this strategy last night to win the Craftsman Truck Series race, the Dodge Dealers 250.
Tony Stewart looking up on the outside here, trying to make a run. He's got some help from, is that Harvick?
That's Harvick in the 21. Darrell, you know why he's helping Tony Stewart in the 33. He owns that race car. Tony Stewart's driving for Kevin Harvick in this race.
24-car train, and Paul Menard, just 24 years old, is the engineer. Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer, Kevin Harvick up there, Johnny Sauter, Greg Biffle, Reed Sorensen.
See Greg Biffle in the 66 car, and it's pretty much been this way all weekend. He seems to be the only Ford product that's able to run with these guys. Remember, the Ford Busch cars now have the Roush Yates engine package in their cars as well.
Car just got up against the wall. Carter 25, Ashley Lewis Jr. He hit it pretty hard coming off turn 4.
Let's get right sides ready. Right sides ready.
A lot of tire smoke on the Marines Ford.
That was his brother, his crew chief, Charlie Lewis. Looks like they're going to have to make a pit stop to change right side tires, try to get those fenders and quarter panels off the tires.
It flattened it pretty good.
Asking the spotter how bad the side panels are. Here's another look.
He nails her pretty good. He's coming up on the outside here. I believe he gets forced up and into the wall. It's good, pretty hard lick.
He and David Green were side by side when that started.
And that's back to that spotter thing where David Green's spotter probably should have told him that Ashton was there.
"14 laps complete. Paul Menard, Clint Boyer, leading former Cup champ Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, and former Busch Series champ Greg Biffle.
The Hershey's Take 5 300 on Fox, brought to you by Take 5 from Hershey's, the delicious candy bar. By the U.S. Navy. Navy, accelerate your life. By Pizza Hut, home of the new Dip and Strip pizza. Grab a strip and you're destined to dip. And by Chevy, the defending manufacturer's champion. The revolution races on. We're back in Daytona. Paul Menard with the lead. Tony Stewart second. Greg Biffle third. And Kevin Harvick, who's finished 8th or better in all 5 Daytona Busch Series races he's run, got knocked back a little bit to 6 moments ago.
Yeah, he pushed his car that he owns with Tony Stewart driving up to 2nd place, and all of a sudden he got kind of shook out. Now he finds himself back there in 7th, and we're riding right now with Kevin Harvick inside the car, and he's holding a pretty wheel right now. It didn't seem like he just kind of like dropped back in that hole, and pretty comfortable so far, but he's got a strong race car, but he needs him a good dance partner, so it'll be interesting to see who he's going to try to team up with that and work his way back toward the front.
Talking about partners, Michael Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Martin Truex Jr., kind of all in their own little pack.
Yeah, those guys back are just using a little bit of strategy right now, trying to stay out of harm's way, but they have fallen almost 10 seconds back.
Let's check in on that with Matt Yoka. Matt?
A lot of conversation, Chris, back and forth between the 99 of Waltrip, the 81 of Earnhardt, and the 8 of Truex Jr. Michael says that he is pretty loose. He wanted to make the other 2 Chance 2 cars aware of that. Martin Truex says he has no grip whatsoever as well, but Dale Jr. says his car feels pretty good.
This is a thing of beauty right here. Now, this is not co-opetition. This is cooperation. This is 3 guys that are on the same teams, basically, all working together for the benefit of their whole team. Co-opetition is when somebody gets in there that's on another team and works with them.
And what I like what they've done, you heard them talk about Martin Truex Jr.'s car being loose. The best place for him to be is at the back of this pack because no one's taking air off his rear spoiler.
Oh, and they're marching back up on this crowd. Now they got to worry about, well, we fell back. Now we got to worry about catching.
That's because, Darrell, the front pack has split in 2. The first group of cars come across the line single file, 10 of them to complete lap 20. But from there on back, that group was double wide the whole last lap, and that's created a big separation.
And now they're getting the draft off all these cars in front of them, which will help pick up their lap times even more. And the contrary of this is their teammate, their other teammate, Paul Menard in the 11, a DEI car. He's still up there leading the lead pack, leading the race.
Pretty good strategy. It's like, you know, it's like a miler or somebody that goes out in a marathon and sets a pace for his teammates to keep them in the game. Try to wear everybody else out.
The biggest mover in this race has been Carl Edwards, who's gained 21 positions since the start. Steve Burns.
That's right, Mike, from 29th all the way up to 8th. But a moment ago he said his car was tight. Seconds ago he radioed back and said that he feels like his car is chattering. He said it feels like there's a piece of tire missing. Brad Parrott, the crew chief, said it is your call. If you want to bring it in and put tires on it, we'll do it. So Carl Edwards holding his breath right now.
Aaron's invites you to do the math. Carl Edwards up 21 spots. John Wood, a rookie in this series, has also gained 21 positions.
You know, Larry, if the things we've seen with tires here the last few days, I thought I had a problem. They said it's up to me. You know where I'd be.
At 180 to 90 miles per hour, you do not get a second chance.
I'd say, don't look now, boys, but I'm in the pits.
I'm in.
Our pole sitter, Joe Nemechek, has kind of fallen from sight, Dick Berger, and he's back to 18th. Why?
The car is so loose, Mike, that he simply cannot hang on to it. He is quite surprised at the behavior of that automobile, to the point that he thought maybe he even had a flat tire.
When they're loose like that, you just that's how they feel. Like one of the tires doesn't have any air in it. Or matter of fact, like it's not even on there. Got a car on the apron there.
Sterling Marlin.
Any need to bring it in the pit or just take it to the garage, Sterling? Take it to the garage. I mean, it ain't gonna run.
And I'd watched Sterling. He had moved up into the top 15. That car was performing great for him.
Tough break for the former Daytona 500 winner. He'll be in the big race tomorrow. You'll see it on Fox beginning at 1 o'clock.
And you talk about Menard. I mean, basically, nobody's challenged him. He's set up there. He's led the race. He kind of wanted to move around a little bit, and nobody seems to be able to really get a run on him.
And we're approaching about the halfway point of this run. As we saw in a graphic earlier before the race, these teams can run about 50 to 55 laps on fuel. We're approaching lap 24.
Question here is, will Sterling Marlin turn in? He missed that last turn-in point at the chicane for the road course. He's not going to make it back around, so the field freezes under the first caution of the day. Lap 24 for Sterling Marlin.
And that is a great break for Carl Edwards, who potentially may have a tire problem. I think we'll see everybody on pit road changing 4 tires.
Paul Menard, Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle, the leader. You're watching the NASCAR Busch Series on Fox. Caution flag is out. Pit stops coming. Steve Burns.
Mike Reed Sorensen is tight. 1 round of wedge out of the left rear. They will add a spring rubber in the right rear. Dick Berggren.
Greg Biffle in for his pit stop. He's suffering from a vibration in the car, but he has had that vibration during practice. Jeannie.
Well, Tony Stewart saying he was just a little tight right now, but he wants to go to an extreme so they can really dial in what's going on with the car. Big air pressure change. Matt?
Paul Menard is in the leader. They're going to make a 4-tire change, but no adjustments. Dan Stillman, his crew chief, says the car near perfect. Meanwhile, you can see the red in the back window of Martin Truex's car. Significant air pressure and chassis adjustments on the 8 car. Dale Earnhardt Jr., his teammate, he says his car needs chassis adjustment as well. They're backing up the 8 as he was blocked in by the 64 of Mayfield.
A long stop for Kevin Harvick. He came into the pits, crossed the line there in 5th, and got out pretty deep in the field.
Oh, it's really crowded down there right now. And you know, again, this is one of those things where inexperience, you get in your pit box wrong, and it blocks the guy behind you. And so a lot of these guys haven't made a lot of pit stops on these super speedways.
Yeah, I mean, we still have 42 cars on the lead lap. I think about 40 to 41 of those cars were on pit road.
And watch what happens here to Denny Hamlin, one of those rookies.
Gosh, we see that all the time. It just seems like time and time again, somebody slides through their pit box.
Well, and Jeff Hammond talked about this in the pre-race. Mistakes on pit road, not only by the crew, but by the driver as well. But this is only his 2nd Busch Series start.
We're under the first caution of the day in the Hershey's 300 for Sterling Marlin.
The Hershey's Take 5 300 on Fox, brought to you by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Through 25 laps here in Daytona. Nice to have you along on Fox. Let's rejoin Mike Joy upstairs. Mike?
Steve Grissom did not pit under this caution flag. He's the leader as we go back to green. And as Fox Sports brings you the finest picture and sound in television. 720p high definition picture and Dolby Digital 5.1 surround sound. Just crank it up. Steve Grissom, the 1993 Series champion, Darrell, stayed out, held a pretty wheel.
Yeah, he did. But a bunch of fast, hungry hounds coming up through here right now. And I was watching Paul Menard, who was leading so comfortably in the get-go here. But, man, once Tony Stewart got out front, he just drove. He's pulling everybody around Menard and going away.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. made a second pit stop during that caution. Matt?
Mike, he made a second pit stop because he missed the first. You can see some of the crew members putting some yellow tape on Dale Jr.'s pit board sign. He is so used, DW, to seeing the number 8. You're so focused on making your entry and not making a mistake. The first pit sign he saw was number 8, but that was Truex 3 or 4 pits away. He missed it. He had to come back. Ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah, that's one of the reasons why you like to keep the same number all the time. If you can, you're focusing on the pit road speed and looking for that pit box, and buddy, it's crowded down there.
Well, last year Dale Jr. won this race driving car number 8.
Yeah, and now he's 81 because Martin Truex Jr., who won the championships in number 8. But what you have to add to that as well, Darrell and Matt, is 41 cars on pit road at one time. Those signs waving up and down looks like a big sea of signs.
Yeah, it's not too bad when you hear, we're here, and you're coming to them. It's really bad to say, we're here, and you're looking back at them. Watching that yellow car up on the outside there, that 11 car, it looks like he needs a push. If he can get a push, that car is still really bad fast, but he needs somebody to go with him.
Well, I think he has some help coming. You see Kevin Harvick in the 21 back there, Shane Mill in the 32. They're starting to form a little posse there on the high side.
Here's Steve.
Mike, I mentioned that 19-year-old Reed Sorensen was in a Ganassi Dodge. Well, after his pit stop, 2 of the crew chiefs from the Nextel Cup Ganassi cars, Donnie Wingo and Jimmy Elledge, were both down here looking at the tires that came off of Sorensen's car, still doing prep for tomorrow's Daytona 500.
And that's one reason why a lot of these guys, why these Cup teams have cars in this race today. Information. The more information you got, the better prepared you'll be for tomorrow.
See Joe Nemechek in the 87 car. Remember our pole sitter, I'm sure that was a very welcome caution for him to try to get that car tightened up and make some adjustments.
Let's show you what Darrell was talking about. Okay, where's my pit stall? Here they all come. There are all the signboards waving on the right of your screen. But where's mine?
Yeah, you think that waving up and down does any good? It's like being at the carnival. Hey, well, let me guess your weight.
But that's what's nice where Paul Menard, the 11 cars pitted, he knew his pit was all the way at the very end of pit road, the last pit box that was available.
Yeah, his position here is about to be P1 if he can steam around the outside of Tony Stewart. You're right behind him with Kevin Harvick.
There's a car up here high coming in around turns 3 and 4. He can't get down. Here he comes. I believe he's got a tire issue. He slowed going down into turn 3. Luckily, he didn't get run over. Car's still under power, so I think he might have a tire problem.
And having to maintain 55 miles per hour on pit road, he'll be by himself. It'll be tough to keep from going a lap down.
Oh, I got close up there in turn 2.
He was so fortunate. He got it. Cars were going around left and right, but he was able to save it.
He's just now getting to his pit box in the pack. The lead pack's going off into turn 3.
There's Greg Biffle in the 60, caught in the middle between the 2 lines of traffic, Steve. Excuse me, that's Carl Edwards. Biffle in the 66 and marching to the front. He drove that 60 last year. Here's Steve.
Mike, just want to follow up on Carl Edwards right before the caution. He said he was worried about that right front tire. As soon as it came off the car on the pit stop, crew chief Brad Parrott said, look at that right front. He was glad to report back to Carl Edwards that everything is fine on that set of tires. Jeannie.
Well, things are not fine for the 1 car and Johnny Sauter. Ignition problems. The initial thought process was to go to his B box, fire that one, and see if everything was okay. But guys, they just came on the radio and said, all right, that's not working either. Looks like we're done for the day. We'll keep you posted. Dick?
Joe Nemechek said the car is still really free, even though they made 3 separate adjustments to try and tighten it up. But his biggest problem, he's having a hard time hearing his spotter.
follow up a little bit on Carl Edwards. You know, he's going to run for Rookie of the Year in the Busch Series here. He's not eligible in the Cup because he run too many races, but he's going to run for Rookie of the Year in Busch. He's going to run all the Busch races as well as all the Cup races.
Bumper cam, David Stremme.
Now 3 wide.
Here comes help.
Bam.
Still 3 wide on top. You got help.
That'll get your attention, but you better not have anybody in front of you because it's a shot when they get hit like that.
But Darrell, it basically launches that race car that's being bumped.
Well, he just got hit by 400 more horsepower.
There you go.
It's passing gear.
That was Kenny Wallace in the 22 applying the pressure.
Just to comment on Johnny Sauter in the one car, that's a shame. Looked like he had a car that could contend here today, and I go back to Thursday, looked like he was going to make the Daytona 500, had engine woes in that dual race.
Denny Hamlin, the rookie, getting racy against Reed Sorensen there. Let's go back to Steve.
Mike, Kenny Wallace started 30th and had moved his way up into the top 10. Just talked to his crew chief, Wes Ward. He said the car's gotten a little bit tight after that pit stop because some tape blew off the nose of that race car.
36 of 120 laps complete. Paul Menard in only his second season in the NASCAR Busch Series, leading former Indy Racing League and Nextel Cup champ Tony Stewart.
Fox, glad to have you for the Hershey's Take 5 300, brought to you by Take 5 from Hershey's. Top 5 cars right now, actually top 4 are Chevys. Greg Biffle has just moved up to 5th. NASCAR this morning, by the way, back on Speed. And Jimmy Spencer and Kenny Wallace will join the crew tomorrow. Catch NASCAR this morning every Sunday at 11 a.m. on Speed. And for more information on today's race or practice or just the latest NASCAR news, turn to the Speed channel. If you don't have the Speed channel, call 1-888-22-SPEED to get it. That's 1-888-22-SPEED and get the Speed channel. Kyle Busch led lap 1 from the second starting position. 24-year-old Paul Menard in the 11 car took the lead on lap 8. Then he retook the lead moments ago from Tony Stewart on lap 33. We've had problems. Johnny Sauter, a tire problem on lap 33, an engine problem for Sterling Marlin. But how about Paul Menard, whose car is owned by DEI and Teresa Earnhardt?
He's showing a lot of confidence right now in this young man, bringing him on board last year. He's had an outstanding road racing career. You know, his father is infamous for his role in Indianapolis 500, has always fielded outstanding any type style cars, but Paul decided to come south, and right now he's making a name for himself, leading this pack and really, you know, showing Tony Stewart the way.
Showing a lot of patience from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Let's check in with Matt Yoka. Matt?
And Chris, he's got a guy in his mirror, Tony Stewart, who won an IRL championship driving for his father. The only thing that Paul has really said on the radio, wanting an update on how his two teammates are running, meaning Dale Jr. and Martin Truex Jr., and where they are on the racetrack. He's just riding along out front. Meanwhile, the 14 car David Stremme, he's gone up to the high side the past few laps. His car gone to the tight side. Jeannie?
Well, we've established that Paul Menard has a good car, but let's go to the authority. That would be Tony Stewart, who came on the radio and said, that car has got a motor in it. He's not driving it. He is riding it right now. As for Tony, the car's still a little bit tight, so looking for some more adjustments when he comes in.
43 laps complete this time by. Dale Earnhardt Jr. with Michael Waltrip trying to march their way to the front. As you look back at David Stremme, lap 31, that duo was 7 seconds back. Lap 41, 3.5 seconds back. And now they are 3.2 seconds off the lead.
Yeah, even after Dale Earnhardt Jr. having to make that second pit stop because he missed his pit stall. Remember, he started all the way at the back of these 40 or 41 cars. It's almost like Michael somewhat waited on him. They got hooked up, and they've been mowing them down ever since. They've worked their way back into the top 20. And as you say, they're only a little over 3 seconds behind the lead car.
Matt?
And his spotter, Steve Neal, back helping Dale Earnhardt Jr. out as a spotter this year. He is telling Jr. exactly where Martin Truex Jr. is running, so in case he wants to move around, Jr. says the car is still sliding around a little bit, but it's handling better after that wedge adjustment on that last stop.
Darrell, look at that front four. A few laps ago, Tony Stewart made a bold move on Paul Menard, could it have been because he sees this pack closing in?
No, I think actually he's trying to push him away from those guys there behind him. Not only that, the Menards only got one start here at Daytona, and he won't forget this one because Stewart is wearing him out getting down into turn 3. Hooked him there one time, got him sideways, but Tony's really, that's the only place Tony can do anything with him, at the end of the back straightaway. Everywhere else, Menard seems to drive off from him.
Well, what Paul Menard in 11 has to make sure he doesn't do, and I think this is almost what happened over there in turn 3. He can't open up the bottom, especially getting in the corner, because if he does, Tony Stewart will fill that hole.
Let's show you that bump, Darrell.
Yeah, he gets leaves the bottom open ever so slightly, and man, that was ugly. That was a great save by Menard. His car is really fast. It's really hooked up, obviously.
And the perspective you do not get with that, it's over 180 miles per hour off in the corner.
Greg Biffle to the inside in the number 66, trying to move up past Clint Boyer.
But Larry, that move is Tony Stewart. He knows that Menard is a rookie here for the most part. Give him a little shot, unnerve him a little bit, make the pass, and say adios. But it didn't work.
Biffle completes that pass. He's the new 4th place car ahead of Casey Kane.
Casey Kane in the 38, he's almost one of those cars that fell back to about 15th. Kind of let the field sort itself out. Now he's worked his way back up through there, up to the top 5.
Casey Kane moving up. Matt, 6th place now.
He's been very patient, knowing earlier in the race he did not have the car handling the way he wanted. He felt like the nose was just washing out. The adjustments they made on their first pit stop has really helped. And you can see he slowly motored his way into the top 5, Dick Berggren.
Michael Waltrip, car number 99, currently riding in 17th position, has an interesting strategy for the entire duration of today's race.
Back straightaway, one car around, sliding. It is the defending series champion, Martin Truex.
You haven't thrown the caution yet. Need to get going if you can.
No caution yet.
Caution.
There it is. Yellow's out.
Caution is out. Caution is out. Come on around here, guys.
You know, if he can get back to pit road without tearing the fenders off of it, I'm sure his tires are probably down. That's going to be a great save. You know, that area over there, it's been paved for some time now. If you can keep on that and not get off on the grass, you can save a car. We saw Jimmy Johnson do it in the 150s. Got some damage from behind. What do you think that tells you, Larry?
I'd say that's the reason he went spinning around right there. That was a little more than a bump draft.
Like Jimmy Johnson Thursday, who got spun in his Gatorade dual race and emerged unscathed. Looks like Truex will be okay. Let's see what happened. That's Junior in back of him, but it's hard to say how that got started.
You know, Darrell, that's coming off turn 2 over there. That's a lot of times a place where the driver really has to get out of the throttle. You already heard Truex's car say it was sliding around, so you just wonder if he's out of the throttle, and Junior didn't realize it.
This look should give us a little better indication.
He runs up on the 60 car, Larry. Has to get out of the gas. Junior tapped him.
He was bad loose right there when he turned to the high side.
I'd say that Martin had to get out of the gas. He run up on the 60 car. He was afraid he was going to run into him, squeezed out a little bit, and got hit from behind.
Before he got up in that high lane, did he get a tap from Shane Meal?
Oh, check it out.
Hear him let, well.
Spin it.
Hard to say.
Nice job.
Matt's in his pit.
No yellow yet.
And the valence is backed under a little bit on that left front corner. The team has a piece of tape to try to repair that. They've made a track bar adjustment, gone up to try to help free the race car up. Martin still battling a tight race car as Haskell, Lavalette, and a few other guys working. You see Sammy working on that front valence. Spotter keeping them abreast of where the pace car is, and he's away. Talking about possibly bringing him back for more repairs. Steve?
Matt, J.J. Yaley inside the top 10. He said in the last 3 laps, his car had gotten tight on exit. Crew Chief Jason Ratcliffe calling for an air pressure adjustment. 4 tires for Yaley. Nick?
In the pits, Biffle has been running in the top 5 all afternoon, but he still has that vibration. Diagnosis right now, possible transmission. Jeannie?
Well, Tony Stewart in search of freedom. Adjustments last stop helped the tight car, but the plan is for more air pressure changes, as well as a wedge and track bar adjustment. Matt?
A 15-second change stop by Paul Menard's crew gets him off pit road in front of Tony Stewart.
And Matt, I think one reason Paul Menard, at least under caution, can win these battles off pit road, he's at that last pit box we talked about earlier. He just has to move a few feet to win the battle off pit road. Good pit selection.
And Larry, every year it seems like someone emerges out of nowhere. Paul Menard being this guy, it seems like the guy this year. And this could be a year. This could be his year.
Here's Matt.
And Larry Mack, to further update what you're talking about, remember back to last year when Dale Jr. and Martin Jr. had great qualifying runs. They had great pit stalls, whereas Paul Menard had a great qualifying run. Martin and Dale Jr. didn't, so they're a little further up pit road. As Dale Jr.'s in for repairs to the left front corner of his race car, the crew's working on that valance. They've got a huge piece of tape working on that left front corner. Aerodynamics so important here at Daytona.
Yeah, you got a left front damage there. You got a rear damage on the 11 car. Not too hard to figure out, is it?
You do the math.
A review indicates the initial contact on the number 8 was from the 32 of Shane Meal. We're under caution. We'll be right back.
The Hershey's Take 5 300 on Fox is brought to you by Take 5 from Hershey's, the great new candy bar that tastes great. Get ready to go green after the caution. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Paul Menard brings them down for the restart. Will complete 51 laps. Menard starting only his 34th NASCAR Busch. His first race was Memphis in June of 2003. He finished 12th. For how long?
Well, this happened the last restart. Maybe his car just doesn't take off as quick as these other guys because he fell back 4 or 5 spots before, got some help, and got back to the front.
Clear. Got help from behind.
Jeannie, Tony Stewart has taken the lead.
Yes, Tony Stewart, the man with the plan to get by Paul Menard. We see it happening, but he's figured out a plan for the rest of the day. If he does indeed fall behind, he's in awe of the motor in the car. Of course, he says that driver doesn't have a lot of experience here, but he's kicking our butts all over the place. Here's Tony's plan should he fall behind. Beat him on the bottom. He actually asked his crew to go talk to Kevin Harvick and said, let's team up. Let's watch him. If we fall behind, we'll beat him on the bottom, but we can do a good job of following him around and saving this plan and using it later in the race.
When they kicked Menard in the 11 car out of line, it took him all the way back to 7th place before he was able to get back in the line on the bottom.
But you watch him, Larry. He did a very similar situation from last restart. He fell back, then he jumps up on the outside, and if he can get somebody to help him, push him right back to the front.
He got a good run off turn 2 that time. He's already challenging Greg Biffle in the 66 car for 6th. And he'll have help here shortly, I think.
Let's show you what happened to Greg Biffle on that last pit stop.
It's a little crowded down here, I think.
That beat the alternative right there, though.
And the 20, Denny Hamlin pulls out. Donnie Neuenberger, though.
Not Donnie Neuenberger's fault. And I won't say it's Denny Hamlin's fault. It's on the shoulders of the crew chief and the spotter. Darrell, you talked about it earlier. That driver does not have a lot of vision in that race car to make him aware of cars coming in, cars pulling out.
And I've done that before, and they're hollering, whoa, whoa, whoa. I thought they were saying, go, go, go. So you got to say, stop.
Does not look like Paul Menard got the help he was looking for. He's kicked all the way back to about 9th or 10th now on the high side with no help whatsoever.
Yeah, surprisingly, nobody wants to work with him. I'm not sure about that.
10 cars single file in the front pack, back through Shane Meal, then David Stremion back. We didn't get another look at it, but it appeared that 2 cars lifted coming off turn 2, causing Martin Truex to lift, causing Shane Meal's momentum to carry him into the back of Truex, and Truex spin out.
Yeah, and then shoved him up in front of Dale Jr., who was in the outside lane, and he actually made the hardest contact with him.
Well, let me tell you who is not up at the front of the pack. You see Martin Truex Jr. right there in the 8 car, and just a few cars in front of him is Dale Earnhardt Jr. It's almost like in the 81, it's almost like he's trying to kind of wait on Martin Truex as Michael Waltrip waited on him earlier. Let those two get hooked up. We still have a long way to go yet.
Well, you know, based on our 150 milers, I'm not going to say a word about what's wrong with them until the race is over with, because more likely nothing.
By the score monitor, when they need to go, they can go.
Seems that way.
5 laps to halfway, Dick.
Well, Michael Waltrip has an interesting and perhaps a very, very intelligent strategy to try and win this race. The entire focus of the weekend has been on the last 2 laps of the race, so much so that they didn't even do a qualifying run in practice to see how the car would go all by itself. That focus, just get himself in position at the very tail end. That's all Michael needs to do. He's just been riding around. He has no need to just get himself up front. Just wants to be in position. Stremme off the pace meanwhile.
Yeah, he just blew up between the start-finish line at turn 1, Dick. He's down on the track apron. As we look from his onboard, he pulled out of line.
And the thing about Michael is all of a sudden you get back in there with guys that aren't hurt you. Matter of fact, they can end up getting you in a lot of trouble.
And the thing about it, that's the second Fitz Bradshaw car that has had engine problems today. Sterling Marlin in the 40 earlier, remember they made the swap. Right now, 2 of those cars have had engine problems.
Darrell, it looks now that the eye of the storm is not among that lead pack. Now it's back in this second pack of cars.
Yeah, well, guys, you know, there's comers and goers in every race, and you get kind of caught up in this crowd right here, and all of a sudden they're racing side by side, and they get a little panicky because the front group's getting away. I wouldn't want to be right there if it's me.
But if those guys will get lined up, Darrell, they can reel that front pack back in.
That's a big if, Larry.
It is. Yeah, if they just do that. That's what you're saying when you're running longer with them.
Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch, Greg Biffle lead the Hershey's 300.
The Hershey's Take 5 300 on Fox is brought to you by Aaron's. Aaron's makes dreams come true with dream prices on dream products. By Visa, proud sponsor of NASCAR. By Taco Bell, think outside the box. And by Mr. Clean Auto Dry Pro Series Car Wash. Never dry your car again. Tony Stewart leading lap 61, followed by Kyle Busch earlier in the race. In fact, Paul Menard and Tony Stewart going at each other. Paul Menard in the 11 car with Tony Stewart in the 33 right on his tail. A little bump drafting. Then on lap 48 coming off turn 2, Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car. Bumped from Shane Meal. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the middle of that. And Truex Jr., who won the Busch Series championship last year, brings out the caution on the restart. Tony Stewart shoots back in front ahead of Menard, and Tony Stewart is currently your leader thus far.
Yeah, right now Tony Stewart continues to lead, but Chris, I want to say good job by the 5 car and Kurt Busch. His crew came in early on. That car was really bad loose. They made some adjustments, got Kyle back up here to the front right now, running second behind Tony Stewart. I think I called him Kurt a minute ago, but it's a younger brother, Kyle.
Shrub, right? He calls him
Shrub right now, but he's making a good run right now in that 5 car.
Paul Menard has dropped all the way to 9th. Menard never finishing better than 9th in 33 previous Busch Series races.
One other thing I want to point out, we got 39 cars on the racetrack right now, and all 39 are on the lead lap.
And Greg Biffle's done a nice job of hanging in there. He's had a pretty productive week so far in Speed Weeks, currently running 3rd.
Yeah, he's doing a really nice job, especially after getting run out in the grass after that last pit stop to avoid contact on pit road.
Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
There are 14 what we call bushwhackers in this race. Nextel Cup drivers moonlighting in the Busch Series, led by Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch, and Greg Biffle. Darrell, how important to tomorrow's Daytona 500 on Fox is what they learned today?
Just adding to the notebook, baby. More notes, more things not to do, more things to do. Not only that, it's got a $2.5 million purse. Not a bad payday for a little Saturday afternoon drive here. And these engine guys, these car guys, they're all learning stuff.
Matt, Martin Truex has fought his way back up to 17th after that spin.
He is having a great run, Mike. In fact, he's doing it pretty much on his own. Bono Mannion just told him, if we ever get this car right, work that tightness out of the car, these guys are in serious trouble because you are really driving the wheels off that race car. In fact, if you look at the DEI corporate teammates, you've got the 11 of Menard in 9th, Junior's 13th, and Martin Jr. is in 17th. The 11 is falling back, trying to hook up with his buddies.
Truex restarted 38th at lap 52. In 12 laps, he has come to 15th. That's 23 positions.
Well, he sat on the pole here last year and finished 28th, so I think he probably could improve on that.
And as long as Bono Mannion, his crew chief, and that crew, they got that front valence, that bottom part of the front bumper fixed back good, you know the car should be just fine.
Jeannie?
When we talk about cars falling back, trying to move back up, that pretty much describes Kevin Harvick right now. It's really, guys, because he's trying to find his place in the world, his place on the track. He's pushing real bad. He came on the radio and he said, look, I'm really tight. Just find me a place to run. Steve?
Jeannie, earlier in the show, Larry McReynolds talked about how important the spotters are atop this speedway. A second pair of eyes. Carl Edwards, riding in the 5th position, just told his spotter, Jason Hedleski, hey, keep an eye on that 41 car behind me. He keeps trying to peek to the bottom, and when he does, it roots me up the racetrack.
We've been talking about Martin Truex Jr., his owner, Dale Earnhardt Jr. They've been hunting each other, and now they seem to be hooked up. And as we noted, they are working their way to the front. Right now, Truex is in 13th, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. just cracked the top 10 up to 9th. He knows with about one more pit stop to go, it's time to start making that move.
Yeah, and the guy we haven't mentioned very much, Stan, right in the thick of things, though, is Clint Boyer. Now, he doesn't have any starts here either, so he's doing a heck of a great job in that 2 car.
No, I think when you look at Clint Boyer, Reed Sorensen, and Paul Menard, between the 3 of them, there's only one start here, and all of them have been in the top 10 this entire race.
Menard putting the bump to Harvick. Junior and Truex on the inside of them.
I expected Paul Menard to do exactly right there because remember, he's a teammate to Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Martin Truex. He fell in with those guys. Now he's running at the bottom for the first time in several laps.
Yeah, and he's back in there where he hasn't been for a while. He's something, yeah, I think that was that side window, yeah. We saw it going flying through the air there.
Now that's a safety violation, so whichever car lost the right side window would be black flag to pit road.
And the reasons these teams, NASCAR mandates they run this right side window, it's basically a piece of black sand. It's part of the package when the car turns sideways to keep it from taking off and flipping upside down. Looked like it came out of the 5 car, Kyle Busch.
Yeah. He probably will be coming to pit road pretty soon.
Up with that side window, guys. Hustle up.
That was Kyle Busch's crew chief, Jim Long.
Who was Terry Labonte's crew chief last year.
Meaning they have to go back to the truck and get one, or get one off the pit cart and get it ready to install.
We always had 2 spare right side windows in the pit cart. We had one that was a perfect fit for that car. We also had one, and it sounds like the caution has come out. But what a break for Kyle Busch. Now he'll be able to replace that window under caution.
And it appears the reason for the caution is that side window is laying on the track.
Pull on them fenders just a tick. And put that side window in there.
Where it could cause a problem to oncoming traffic. The ducting to get fresh air to the driver kind of looks like your dryer vent hose material
yellow, is it, Chris?
is hanging out there in the wind.
Pit road is still closed. All right, we're going to do 4 tires here, guys.
Here's Matt.
Stremmy's engine failure in the 14 is good luck for the 8 and 81 teams, because now they're in pit stalls 3 and 5. Junior can stop long in his box, doesn't have to worry about trying to go out around somebody, and Martin Jr. can stop short in his to help his exit as well.
But Matt, this is probably could be the most important pit stop for these race teams. We talked about it earlier. They can run about 50 to 55 laps on fuels. Right now, there's 50 laps to go. So this could be the battle of who wins this battle off pit road. This is where you have to pump that crew up.
Larry, pit crews routinely train and practice 4-tire and fuel stops. But do they practice things like this, replacing side windows, replacing ignition boxes, and other unexpected calamities?
Always have a what-if list, a what-if situation. You just want to make sure that all the I's get dotted and all the T's get crossed and nothing gets left undone on a situation like this. But what a break for a car that could be a contender to win this race, to get the caution that was caused by his right side window being on the racetrack.
One of David Green's crew members up there having a talk over with one of Greg Biffle's. Here's Dick Bergman.
Well, Greg Biffle's got a problem on his hands, Mike. When they came to Daytona, each one of these teams was allowed to have 6 sets and no more sets of tires. Biffle is down to his last set of new tires. We have still got 50 laps to go in this event, and if he uses his new tires now, he's got no more. As I walk up and down pit road, I see most of the good teams that still have 2 sets of tires. So, does he pit now and take his last good set of tires, or does he stay out? And they haven't decided just yet.
I don't see that he has a choice, because I think all these other cars are going to come to pit road, and we've seen all week long you cannot be out there on old tires. But the reason Greg Biffle and David Green's crews were talking, they're pitting beside each other, trying to formulate a plan where they don't block each other in.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't what if here is, what if there's another caution? Well, what if there isn't? And so you've got to come in with put the tires on and hope there are no more cautions.
Steve?
Carl Edwards is going to get an extra pound of air in that right rear tire, and they're also going to put a spring rubber in the right rear spring. Dick.
Biffle has gone with fuel only. They did not put their last set on. Jeannie.
So far, the adjustments have working for Stewart's car, but he'll take a little more, like a wedge adjustment. Of course, fuel. And by the way, reminding everybody on the radio, they can make it from here on fuel. Matt?
No adjustments for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 81. Just a 4-tire change. An air pressure adjusted for the 8 of Truex. He almost stalls it leaving. A couple cars do beat him up, and the 8 and 81 are back together.
We've not heard yet today about the free pass rule, because we've not yet had a car 1 lap down that needed the pass to get back on the lead lap when a caution came out. All 39 cars on track are on the lead lap. David Stremme in the garage along with Johnny Sauter, Sterling Marlin, and Jeff Fuller. Here's the race off pit road. Big jump there by Jeremy Mayfield, number 64.
Tells me they probably didn't change 4 tires.
Under caution in Daytona, we want to welcome Office Depot into the NASCAR Nextel Cup family. Remind small business owners to visit their local Office Depot to find out how their business can win designation as the official small business of NASCAR and be featured on the number 99 Office Depot car. The winner will be announced under the lights in Darlington on May 7th. Greg Biffle, Courier, your leader, followed by Tony Stewart. Jeff Hammond, how about the pit strategy coming up?
Well, we've already seen where Greg Biffle was pretty much forced to only take gas only. He's got old tires on, trying to save his seat in case we have things. We go back to green.
Shane Meal with a long pit stop. He comes off pit road, and he'll just get inhaled by the pack. So we'll have 38 cars on the lead lap as they come past.
Yeah, his car was smoking, Mike, so I don't expect him to get back up to speed. He may, but I don't think so. I think he must have a big problem.
Kind of a raggedy restart.
It was.
Got 2 packs of cars already.
See Jeremy Mayfield in the 64 car. We pretty much know he either went with fuel only or just 2 right side tires. He's hung in the outside. J.J. Yaley in the 18, he was one of the cars that elected to fuel only, but right now that bottom line is moving.
Greg Biffle to lead this lap after taking fuel only and no tires. Here's Dick Berggren.
And Shane Meal just had to make a long pit stop, Mike. The reason the car is overheating, this is in exchange danger. They put cool water into the radiator, took the hot water out. And I tell you what, the water that came out of the radiator in Shane Meals' car was absolutely boiling.
I mean, these teams, they try to run as much tape on the front ends as they possibly can, which restricts the airflow to the radiator. The reason they do it really reduces the drag, straightaway speed of these race cars. Sometimes you get a little carried away, too aggressive.
Greg Biffle under pressure from Tony Stewart. Martin Truex, who brought out the previous caution, he's up to third. Matt.
Mike, about 2 laps before we went back to green, it was like Comedy Central on the Chance 2 radios. Dale Jr. clicked over and he was talking to Martin Truex Jr., jabbing each other back and forth about what great runs they're having. And then Bono came out and said, you knuckleheads pretty much spun yourselves out. Let's quit messing around and let's go to the front, lead, and get some bonus points. And that's exactly what they're doing. Bono's gone back and forth between Menard's pit and Junior's pit. The DEI cars working together.
Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Time to go, they said. See Kenny Wallace there in the 22 car. He's another one of the cars that like to go with fuel only.
Colin.
Stewart, did he get in the back of Biffle, Darrell?
He got in the back of him. Tony's car really gets down into turn 3 really, really fast.
Look how hard he got in the back of him. You can see the left rear quarter panel behind his left rear tire hanging out on Biffle's
He did that
car.
to Menard earlier, and he just did it to Biffle, and I think Biffle's trying to recover in a lot of ways.
There's a look at the damage on the left rear corner, and he lost that rear fender out. That won't help the aero. Carl Edwards comes up behind him. Mayfield, Biffle, Edwards there, and Sorensen in a line. Boyer drops in with them.
I tell you, the cat, if they could ever get back in the front of that Levis car, that car is bad fast. He just needs somebody to work with him.
He wants, it seems like he wants to work the high side if he could get some help up in that second group.
I would Dale Jr. and them. I'd be wanting to get him up there and let him pull me along.
Look at this, so much for single file at the front. Here's Steve.
Hey, Mike, Kenny Wallace took, as you guys documented, no tires, fuel only on that last stop, and they're taking a bit of a gamble right now because his water temperatures are starting to climb. He's up around 250 degrees, but they did not take any tape off the grill in front of the radiator because if they did that, it would ruin the handling. So they're hoping that water temperature doesn't get any higher.
Yeah, I mean, these cars can run 240, 250 degrees as long as it don't start spitting water out. If it starts spitting water out, then you've got real problems, Matt.
Larry Mack, Menard in 11 running in fifth. He says the car is tight on the bottom. He prefers to run the top, but he's going to run whichever group is the best, and so he's on the bottom. But Larry Mack, one important fact from their pit, they have one more set of tires down here just in case they need them. They are good on tires.
That's going to be the real challenge for the Busch Series. In past years, NASCAR has given them 3 sets of tires to use at their discretion during the race. Now when the teams check in, Dick Bergman was talking earlier, they give them 6 sets. You use them how you want to. Ever how many you want to burn up in the race or in practice, they're your tires. You use them to your discretion.
Not just tires burning up, Steve.
Mike, Larry Mack just mentioned that the water temperatures are okay as long as Kenny Wallace doesn't spit water. Well, Reed Sorensen in the 41 is complaining of that very thing. But Kenny Wallace says the water temperature is starting to drop a little bit back down to 245.
Well, that either means it's getting cooler, Darrell, or it's running out of water.
It could be running out. Sometimes they'll get real cool when they're having water in them.
You see Wallace just ahead of Michael Waltrip there, trying to poke the nose out of traffic, get a little clean air through that radiator. Greg Biffle trying to get back to the front. That's where Tony Stewart, our leader, is.
The Hershey's Take 5 300 on Fox is brought to you by the U.S. Navy. Navy, accelerate your life. And by Chevy, the winningest name in racing, Chevy, an American revolution. Nice to have you along on this Saturday afternoon on Fox. The Daytona 500 tomorrow, 1 Eastern, right here. Tony Stewart in a car owned by Kevin Harvick, leading Martin Truex Jr. in a car owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr. And Of course, Truex Jr., the defending Busch Series champ with 6 career Busch Series wins. Jeff Hammond, Tony Stewart, all the racing he's done at different levels. He's never won a Busch Series race.
Never won a Busch Series race. He's finished second several times. Right now on the outside, here comes Martin Truex being pushed by his... Oh, wait a minute now. Let's watch to see what's going to happen here. Junior can't make his mind up whether he wants to go with his friend or his teammate. Now he's going to the outside with Martin Truex, but I may be too late. Tony Stewart has hung on the lead because of that, I think, indecisiveness by Dale Earnhardt Jr. as he goes back to the outside and gets behind Truex.
Just you and the 81 up top.
A lot of hand signals going on there right now.
You've got to be talking to each other. It's about that time with 37 laps to go. I believe you need to get out front, but Tony Stewart is down that bottom. He's hugging that yellow line as tight as he can right now as they come up off of turn 2.
Well, let's rejoin Larry, Darrell, and Mike.
Truex fighting for the front. What saved Stewart was he caught a sniff of Donnie Neuenberger's lapped car. That kept him up there, and now he's got help from Casey Kane, Carl Edwards, Reed Sorensen, and the 2 of Clint Boyer on the inside.
44 is in there too. Jason Labonte, he's pushing.
Riding with Harvick.
Well, all of a sudden we have no single file racing. We've got 2x2 for about 10 or 12 rows back through here with the lead pack.
And this is when it gets real dicey.
Casey Kane stuck in the middle.
Well, yeah, what happens is it went in and started pushing up. Got to squeeze out the throttle.
Here comes the 81. Here comes the pushy one. Right there. Inside. 3 wide. Clear low behind him. Clear low behind him if you want it.
It only sounds like air traffic control. Casey Kane.
Inside as well. 2x2 now, 5 deep.
Black flag. Car number 5, Kyle Busch, completed a pass below the yellow line. He will get a drive-through penalty. Let's show you what happened. He's trying to pass the 6 of Paul Wolfe. Now he and Wolfe might have carried him down there, Darrell, but he kept going.
If he'd have backed off, let the car go back by, no penalty. But I'm sure his argument would be, hey man, he forced me down, or what am I supposed to do? You're supposed to slow down, let him back in front of you. That's what you're supposed to do.
Tell you what, that bottom line, they are not going to give up. Look at the lead now that Tony Stewart in the 33 car has. Here comes Kyle Busch, the Lowe's car, the 5 car, for his penalty on the pit road. But this will be costly because he'll go back out on the racetrack without the help of anyone.
I just think that the yellow line is your best friend.
Well, he may get a break here. Now that piece of debris is way down on the apron and might be judged out of harm's way. That's at turn 3. As the leaders come out of turn 2. Matt?
Help is on the way for Dale Jr. and Martin Jr. The bright yellow Paul Menard car. We told you earlier he likes to run that outside more than the bottom. That's where his car feels a little more comfortable. It's too tight on the bottom. Now you've got that DEI flavor up there on the outside.
Well, really, Darrell, the help is for Menard. He's been undergoing freshman hazing here. None of the other veterans have seemed to want to draft with him very much. Now he's got some teammates to work with.
No matter which way he's gone, the other guys go the other way because for whatever reason they just don't want to hang with him. And I believe he's the key to success myself.
Go ahead.
I think we anticipated those guys that several laps ago under that caution that took fuel only. They are paying the price now. Greg Biffle in the 66 is all the way back to 29th. David Green is in 24th. And Kenny Wallace in the 22 car, he's back to almost 20. So they're paying the price for that fuel only.
And you're going to feel pretty bad if this race ends and you got a brand new set of tires laying in the pit. Put them on when you get the chance.
That outside line onslaught by DEI has not yet paid off. Tony Stewart continues to lead Carl Edwards and Reed Sorensen. Welcome back to Daytona, where Jason Keller's made an unscheduled pit stop and is back on track in the number 35. Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, Reed Sorensen, Clint Boyer, Martin Truex, Dale Jr., Paul Menard, Casey Kane, Justin Labonte, Joe Nemechek.
Joe Nemechek, did you say?
Yeah, our pole sitter.
Oh, wow. It's back in the hunt.
Right behind the bright yellow car in the outside lane, hanging around the top 10.
2 or 3 pit stops, some adjustments. Remember how loose he was at the beginning of the race? He's working his way back up there, and right now he's the only friend Paul Menard in the 11 car has.
A little further forward, 19-year-old Reed Sorensen is having a great day. A career day, you might say, which not a lot of pages in that book at age 19. Steve is in his pit.
With crew chief Brian Patty. Brian, your 19-year-old driver doesn't seem intimidated by the track or the competition, but I keep hearing you tell him stay on the bottom.
It just, how this racing goes with these wicker bills, we're geared so tight, you just can't run the bottom or run the top. So we're going to protect the bottom until lap 120. Car's running real good. He's doing a heck of a job. Everybody on this discount tire team is doing a great job.
Is the plan to stay with the 60 car of Carl Edwards?
Whoever's on the bottom is who we're staying with. Doesn't matter.
And you can see it too. I mean, Martin there behind him is doing everything he can to shake him up off the bottom, but Sorensen's doing a really good job of protecting. That yellow line, in my opinion, is your best friend.
Green flag stops. Donnie Neuenberger with the hood up and tires going on the number 20 of Denny Hamlin. As things get a little racy up here, Sorensen had a big look inside of the 60 of Carl Edwards.
With these cars, they're protecting the bottom all the way around this 2.5-mile racetrack. They know the only way someone would pass them is go below the yellow line. And in fact, let's update Kyle Busch, who received that penalty. He's still on the lead lap, but he is a lonely man because right now he's almost 30 seconds behind the leader, and he's losing about a half a second a lap because he has no one to help him with the draft.
And the thing that's really bothered me about Carl Edwards, oh, there he goes. Right, I said just what I was getting ready to say.
Hang on.
I believe
Tony.
That was Tony, and I was just getting ready to say Carl Edwards and Sorensen were getting impatient. They were starting to really wear Tony's bumper out.
No flag. We stayed green.
That's stuff Dale Earnhardt do.
Yes, it was. We saw Dale Earnhardt do that once here in the IROC race. Eddie Cheever punted him down to the grass. Earnhardt shortcutted across the turn 1 grass and popped right back up on the speedway. Kept on digging.
That was big.
Now, Stewart's car owner, Kevin Harvick, right there, right behind him. Boy, that shook things up a bit, didn't it?
But you know what? I mean, all that said, and look where Tony came across the line.
DW, I was watching from that in-car shot. It looks like maybe Tony Stewart may have a right front fender rubbing just a little bit after that little diversion off the racetrack.
Oh, he's got to have, Jeff. I mean, he went down through the grass and back up onto the racetrack. He's probably got more damage than we can see.
Right
there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of damage. I'm be surprised didn't bend the toe, knock the toe out.
The asphalt goes abruptly there from flat to 31 degrees. There's the tap by Edwards. Here comes Tony. Dirt digging.
That was a whale of a save. Golly.
Great camera work. Here's
right in front of you,
from
going through
Harvick.
the grass, you see it.
And the fact that he didn't come up in front of somebody or run into someone was what was amazing.
Darrell, he probably only slowed down about 4 or 5 miles an hour.
Well, that's what I told you. You come across the line, he's running 8th.
Kevin Harvick to 21. That's his teammate Clint Boyer in the 2. Had to roll out of the throttle because he was bottlenecked up there going off into turn 3. You hear him having to really play with the throttle.
What all this has done is given 3 cars a breakaway at the front. Carl Edwards, Reed Sorensen, and Martin Truex. They now have a 1.5 second lead on Dale Earnhardt Jr., Casey Kane, Clint Boyer, Joe Nemechek, Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, and J.J. Yaley.
And I think the reason that Tony Stewart opened the door at the bottom, we got a report that he was starting to not turn. He was pushing. He just opened it a little bit. Almost got in big trouble.
He got in big trouble.
Caution is out with 19 laps to go. Here at Daytona, Kenny Wallace has cut down a right front tire. Flapping away, it has shredded the right front fender. There's debris on the track that puts us under caution.
And remember, he's one of the cars that elected to fuel only on that last pit stop, but this will be a big break for the other guys that were fading, like Greg Biffle, David Green, J.J. Yaley, and who this is a huge break for is Kyle Busch, that probably in 10 or 15 laps was going to go a lap down out there by himself. Now he'll be caught up to the pack.
And Tony Stewart's crew will get a chance to check out that right front valence after Stewart's wild ride at 180 miles an hour through the turn 1 infield.
I'd be careful fixing that thing because he was running pretty darn good.
You're right. He had fought his way back right into line in 8th place, and he currently runs 10th. Here's what happens to Kenny Wallace.
More likely the car's pushing. He's running so high, the car's probably pretty tight for him. And that's one of the advantages of running high. You see he didn't hit the wall all that hard.
Who's coming to pit road? Who's staying out? Everybody's coming.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 81 stayed out, though. Steve.
Carl Edwards wanted to stay out. He said, I don't need any tires. Brad Parrott said, oh, yes, you do. You're coming. You're going to get 4. They made a chassis adjustment, and he will get 4 tires. Dick.
Joe Nemechek had moved himself all the way up to 6th position before that caution flag. They've done a good job conserving tires. They got 4 fresh ones, and they're going on Joe's car. Jeannie.
Well, Tony Stewart had just said his car was tight before Mr. Edwards got too close for comfort. Talking about concern for the tires, besides that right front valance, a little tug on that, and the tire change and fuel. Matt?
And Martin Truex took on 2 tires and just a little bit of fuel to tighten the race car up. It was loose. The 81 decided he was just going to stay out. He did not want to pit.
And who was a real loser on those pit stops? We talk about how crowded pit row is. Clint Boyer in the 2 car, been running up the front. He was blocked in. They had a great pit stop, but he was blocked in by Shauna Robinson, and it cost him a ton of position.
And looking at Tony Stewart's car, the 33, looked like very little damage, if any, to that car at all.
Looks like a member of Shauna Robinson's crew got brushed back there on pit road. Still on pit road, the 66 of Greg Biffle. A long stop to fix the damage to that left rear fender. You see him on the right of your screen as Kenny Wallace's car is pushed to the garage.
Oh boy.
The Hershey's Take 5 300 on Fox is brought to you by Take 5 from Hershey's. A great taste of that candy bar. By America Online. Want a better internet? You belong at America Online. By Pizza Hut, home of the new Dip and Strips pizza. Grab a strip and you're destined to dip. And by Aaron's. Aaron's makes dreams come true with dream prices on dream products. A little excitement and adventure here. Dale Earnhardt Jr. currently the leader. Previous leader Tony Stewart is now back to 17th, and let's run through the pit stop where some problems took place, costing him.
Yeah, what I noticed right there when they came down pit road, the team tried to come in and decided to make a little pull on the right front tire, but all of a sudden the tire carrier left the tire on the other side of the car. You can't do that. And then we reached back to get it. You see, he dropped the tire. The tire changer had to pick it up, but on top of that, the jack man didn't have the car high enough, and because of all these problems on pit road, he went from 10th all the way back to 17th.
All right, what about Dale Earnhardt Jr. here? This is
that's Joe Nemechek right there.
I'm sorry, Junior is currently leading. Go ahead.
Watch, they're jacking the car up. The guy's trying to get the car up off the ground. It's not working. The jack is not working. All of a sudden, it starts coming up, and you can see the tire changers pull it off. Finally get the tires changed, and when they turn around, the jack man says, I don't know what happened.
Let's check in with Dick Berger. Dick?
Well, Joe Nemechek also had a terrible pit stop. Everything went just fine on the right-hand side, but when jackman Mike James got around to the left, go ahead, pump it up, show him what happened. Mike tried to lift the car off the ground, and guess what? One of the piston seals didn't work, so they had a tough time getting the car up. A long pit stop for Joe Nemechek.
All right, thanks, Dick. So do you check equipment like that before you get into the pits?
You check it a lot, but this type of situation here, if that jack has got a certain piston in it, you can blow the seal and have a problem.
All right, you see Junior and Truex. Reed Sorensen, the rookie, just 19 years old, hanging in there. We'll be back here in Daytona in a moment.
Larry, based on what we've seen earlier in the race, I mean, no tires. I don't know if that's a really good move or not. We got 15 more laps to go here.
And he has 28 laps on his tires, but yeah, we watched those other cars, Greg Biffle, David Green, how they went to the back of the field when they had no tires versus fresh tires on everyone else. Paul Menard in the 11 car again going to the top side, but with no help.
Why won't anybody go with him, Darrell?
But why didn't he stay down there in line? Now see, that's a rookie mistake. Jumping to the outside, he should have stayed in line on the bottom, but his car is terrible on restarts.
He heard you. He's back in line, single file in 7th.
But he lost to 4 or 5 spots. He's got a fast car. He runs up on people. He jumps to the outside, but he can't make the pass.
The best thing Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 81 car may have going for him is his driver is behind him in that 8 car, Martin Truex Jr.
Among the contenders, tail end of this lead pack, Joe Nemechek restarted 11th. Tony Stewart restarted 17th.
Well, I just want to just reflect back to last night, and Bobby Hamilton, who won the truck race, didn't hear his name mentioned all night long. 10 to go, he jumped up there, and he ended up winning the race. We don't know who's going to win out of this crowd right here.
On that caution, Denny Hamlin, number 20, got the free pass. He's back on the lead lap. Matt?
Moments ago, Brian Patty, the 41's crew chief at Reed Sorensen, came down and had a conversation with Bono Mannion. Said, we are not coming off the bottom. We are content to finish right where we are. We're having a great run. That's where we'd like to finish. We just want to let you know what we're going to do.
Well, Matt, they're big picture racing, and to finish in the top 5 your first start at Daytona, that would be huge.
Robbie Gordon on the outside.
The problem he's going to have is he's on the bottom, and everybody else wants to be there too. And somebody's going to try to root him up out of there.
Here comes Paul Menard again. Now Robbie Gordon's up on the high side, but too far back to help him. If Gordon could ever get up there, those two might make it toward the front. Now Robbie is within sniffing range of Menard's yellow car.
What happens to Menard is his car is so fast, it closes so quickly, and he doesn't know what to do, so he jumps to the outside and he just goes backwards.
And Menard's dad builds the engines for Robbie Gordon's Busch car. Menard Engines out of Indiana.
Now he's the lonely guy once again. Nemechek moves past on the inside, and Robbie Gordon, which way is he going? Hard to say.
But basically in 3 laps, he has lost about 8 or 9 positions trying to work the high side.
Steve?
And Mike, Reed Sorensen's been hanging inside that top 5 all day. On their last pit stop, they took just 2 tires. He's also complaining to Brian Patty and his spotter, Lord Renier, saying that 21 car is trying to wreck me. Matt?
DW, Martin Truex just said, tell Dale Jr. I need a headlight, meaning he needs him just to pull up just a tick so he can get a little more air on that left front to make it turn.
Yeah, if Martin has to dip to the outside, Reed Sorensen he'll be in the hole, and Martin will be in big trouble.
But what that tells me is his car will not turn behind Dale Earnhardt Jr., but if he can get that left front corner out and clean air, get some downforce on it, it'll help his car to turn, which I think would help Dale Earnhardt Jr. too, keeping him behind him.
I think it would. 2 cars that are coming. Look on the outside.
Go.
That's
I don't trust
Nemechek.
the 21, 2 back behind you.
That red
Him
car.
and the 60 look like they're planning.
And Tony Stewart is up there in the midst of it once again.
I am impressed. Tony Stewart impressed the heck out of me. That save he had, and now he's up there, and that car should have been damaged. It's not, and he's coming back.
There's Stewart, 33. He's with the lead pack, but how far can he climb in the 10 laps that remain? See who's fast right here. Paul Menard.
Paul Menard. Well, he has help actually in front of him now up on the high side. He has 2 cars right there in front of him, in front of the yellow car.
Yeah, Nemechek and Robbie Gordon.
Nemechek's fast, and you know, everybody's protecting the bottom. Slip by him on the outside if you can. That'd be big.
Joe's coming. He's up to right between 4th and 5th in line.
That group got a real good runoff turn two onto the backstretch that last time.
Side by side with the 60 of Carl Edwards on the inside.
See, when you're up on the outside, you don't have to lift going into 3. When you're in line like that, you've got to squeeze out a little bit to keep him hitting the guy in front of you.
Joe, how far can you go? First car on the outside, Nemechek.
Nine to go.
Nemechek and Robbie Gordon were tied for 4th at the line, but Darrell, if those front three stay single file on the bottom, can you do anything with them?
I don't think so.
But I'm going to agree with Martin Truex Jr. spotter. I think the car that may try to make the move will be Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick is here to try to win this race in that 21.
What he's got to be careful of is that's a rookie in front of him. You draft him in the wrong place, and he's going to get himself in trouble.
Michael Waltrip got a bump from J.J. Yaley. Paul Menard comes to the inside to cover that spot.
Reed Sorensen in that 41 car. If he opens that door on the bottom, Kevin Harvick in that 21 will fill it, and probably about 10 other cars.
That lap, Tony Stewart climbed from 16th to 10th. Still coming.
Turn
two.
2 over there.
3 cars in it. Kyle Busch got a small piece of Stanton Barrett after he crashed with Ryan Hemphill.
Caution is out.
36 got him, boys.
Let's remind you that the field is frozen at the
I can't see where he's going. His hood's up over his windshield.
Car that Mike Wallace won the victory last year. The Biaggi brothers, number 4.
Ryan Hemphill, he's had some success in the ARCA series, but here today.
He got together with Stanton Barrett, and then Kyle Busch got just a piece of Barrett going by. Caution is out with 7 laps to go.
He's just basically gotten down on the inside and following the grass back to the pits. 36 car got a lot of damage. 5 car.
All the right front damage on Kyle Busch. The 5 car worked his way back on the lead lap after that caution right in the eye of the storm.
As you can see, a lot of movement back in here. Everybody's trying to jockey for positions.
Left of your screen, the number 4.
Looks like the Hemphill looks like he had a problem of some kind, and drew the 36 car into him. Actually,
yeah, it looked like he had already started to get loose and probably had to roll out of the throttle. That was a hard lick into the outside wall.
Yes,
but we have safer barriers here.
Another look at it at speed. So now, Larry, do you stay out or do you come in?
Can you say your bed has been made, you have to lay in it? Especially for that 81 car.
No, can you say, I can't hear you?
Yeah, in fact, if I'm the 81 car, I've already packed my pit equipment up. No, there's no way here because we're only going to have a 4 or 5 lap shootout. It's a quickie caution.
You're doing a good job, Boo. I want you to race me now. I'll try. I'm on a couple more laps here. We'll go at it. I can't get a damn run on you though. They're just pushing you away from me, so.
That's Martin Truex talking.
You know that boy behind you, he's probably going to go on the bottom, so you go to the top, make sure you know what you're doing. You don't lose a lot of positions there.
Talking
he ain't going outside, he's staying on the bottom, so I got to figure something out. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The first and second place drivers conversing. Darrell, did you ever have a chance to talk to a teammate when you're out on track?
No, Junior, only teammate I ever had was basically Neil Bonnet, and last thing Junior wanted us to do was talking to each other.
Ryan Hemphill has climbed out of the number 4 and looks to be okay. Matt?
The conversation you didn't hear, Mike, was between Bono Mannion and Martin Truex before that conversation with Junior. In fact, they were talking about possibly going to the outside line, but Martin was too concerned about being dropped in freight train back to 10th or 12th. He did say, Dale Jr. helped me. He stayed with me at Talladega last year. I will stay with him.
Well, Matt, Darrell, you talked about it in the beginning of the broadcast. Drivers on different agendas. Martin Truex Jr. is chasing a second championship. Coming out of Daytona in second would be a good start. Dale Earnhardt Jr. runs 5 Busch races a year. He's here to win the battle. He don't care anything about the war.
He's here to set a record.
There you got it.
He's going for a record.
And how about the man right behind him? Reed Sorensen has only run 5 Busch Series races with a best finish of 4th. Steve?
And Mike, and he's getting quite an education. Brian Patty, his crew chief, keeps hollering at him, stay on the bottom. And when that caution came out, Reed Sorensen said he, meaning Kevin Harvick, was giving me such a push, I could go by the 8 if he wants to go. His spotter, Lord Renier, said, no, stay in line until that last lap. Harvick is just trying to get you loose and out of line.
Sounds like good advice to me.
Well, there's a rookie driver, fast car with experience all around him. In the pits, Brian Patty. In the spotting stand, Renier. I mean, he's got all the right people telling him what to do.
Now, how about our pole sitter? Joe Nemechek's fought his way up to 6th, Dick Berggren.
Yeah, he has it. He has just heard that Robbie Gordon in car 55 will go with him. The plan is for the 87, Joe Nemechek lead the way, and that 55 is going to try to hook on.
Well, they climbed about 8 positions in just that order, Nemechek and Robbie Gordon, so that combination worked pretty well.
I love all this planning. It'll last about turn 1 after the restart.
Yeah, you'll be shaking your fist at the guy you just made a deal with.
When they come to the green, they'll have 5 laps to go. And look, nobody's left the house.
Green flag.
Junior jumped way out there. Oh, look out, Reed. Try to get back down on that bottom if you're going to protect it.
Reed Sorensen in the 41. He almost opened the door for Kevin Harvick in the 21, and Harvick will take advantage of it.
You don't want to do that now, buddy, because there's a long line behind you.
Now, Junior, Dale Earnhardt Jr., 81, he went way up high trying to get that momentum on this restart till they get up to full speed.
He might have got too big a lead because here they come right up on him.
If it had been anybody else but his teammate, they'd have blown by him, and look what happened. Look what happened.
Somebody got a run. That somebody was Harvick on the outside. Oh, 3 wide.
3 wide, 4 wide, 5.
Casey Kane on the outside.
But look at the push Reed Sorensen's getting in the 41 from Tony Stewart in the 33. He's back in the equation. 4 to go this time.
Oh, she's getting nice and dicey now, boys. This is going to get big and ugly.
Kevin Harvick is up to 3rd behind Earnhardt Jr. and Truex.
There he goes. On the outside, can he make it?
By himself with no help whatsoever.
You get such a run going into the turn, but you just can't complete the pass. Reed gets back in there and closes the door. Harvick might be in trouble.
Help might be on the way, though, for that 21 car. The 33 car is closing fast on Reed Sorensen. He's going to the outside right now with the 21. And on top of that, he's going by his teammate.
Tony from the dirt to the high side and maybe all the way to the lead.
What a shot. I mean, he went from about 7th to almost 2nd just through turn 3, and he's coming.
And Junior's loving it because these guys are getting side by side, nowhere to go. He's sitting there leading the race.
It's not over. Harvick is lining up behind Tony Stewart for a run at Dale Jr. 3 laps to go.
Not surprising. That's his race car in front of him right now.
Nemechek way up high, but all by himself.
You know, you can get almost to the front, but you just can't quite make it.
300 miles today, 500 miles here tomorrow.
Right here, halfway down the backstretch, that's where he got such a run a while ago. He's side by side for the lead, coming to 2 to go.
Cow. Boy, that 33 car has got some smoke down that back straightaway. No, that's smoke driving it.
Got a little side draft off Dale Jr. He and Harvick have gone to the front. Big change as they come off turn 4 with 2 to go.
DEI, Dale Jr. and Truex just got smoked off by Tony Stewart and Kevin Harvick.
And now Dale Earnhardt Jr. has his hands full of Robbie Gordon in the 55 car for 3rd place.
I believe those old tires are finally catching up with him, Larry.
Michael Waltrip in the middle of the swarm at turn 1.
Outside bumper, clear high, 3 wide, clear high.
He moves up in front of Biffle.
Just remember, Tony Stewart has never, ever won a Busch race before. He's run one in every other series.
Well, you can believe one thing. He didn't have to worry about that 21 car.
No, Harvick will get owner points and money.
1 back. Coming to the white.
Single file. Casey Kane leading the outside line.
Here we go, boys. Money lap coming up.
1 to go.
Oh, here we go. Round they go.
Big red flag. Now, around goes John Wood, the 20 of Denny Hamlin, and the 0 of Curtis Davis. The question will be, did the yellow come out before Tony Stewart took the white flag? If it did, They will go to the...
Let's come around and see what happens here. Hold on.
They'll go to the scoring loops across the racetrack, and we'll have a green-white checker
I'm telling you, I took the white flag. You never do the yellow until afterwards.
Well,
Copy that. That's what I saw. Let's see what happens here.
You heard Tony's view of it.
The key is not the flagman, it's the caution lights. That's what they go off of.
When do the lights come on? If Stewart had passed under the white flag, it's the race.
Everybody be cool now. Let's just wait and see what happens here.
That's good advice. We'll wait for NASCAR to sort this out as to whether or not it's over or we have a green-white checker finish.
Well, let's take a look at it and see what happened here. This is back in the pack. Cars get a little loose, start bouncing off each other.
John Wood in the 47.
Curtis Davis.
That's pretty much at pit road entrance. That tells me that Tony had to be at the line. I don't know if he was passed or not.
Checkered flag has waved for Tony Stewart. He and Kevin Harvick drafted together to the front to win the Hershey's Take 5 300.
Now he has his Busch Series win.
At Daytona. And he's on the road.
And he spent part of this race zooming through the infield.
I think if I were them, I'd take that car home and see what damage was done to it and not fix it.
God, I'm stoked.
If there is any question whether Tony Stewart is one of the greatest asphalt and dirt drivers in America today, this had to answer.
And you don't get a chance to prove it at the same track in one day either.
And I'm going to bet he'll tell our guys in Victory Lane this win is one of the more special wins that he's had.
Here they come to the line. Stewart and Harvick.
Back, boys.
Just based on where he was and where those cars back in the field were, I got to believe he was well into the white flag lap.
And the way NASCAR applies the rule, if the leader has not yet taken the white flag, they would have a green-white checker restart. But once the leader takes the white flag, that's the race. If there's a yellow flag, NASCAR will use video and photographic evidence to sort out the running order at the order of finish. Otherwise, they'll go back and use the 18 scoring loops around the racetrack to determine the restart order.
And Larry, I was just looking at the front of that car, and as hard as it went up onto the racetrack, I've never seen a car do that and not have some damage. There's not a bit of damage on the nose of that car.
It's very, very fortunate. You saw our graphic earlier that talked about the veterans prevailing here. Here's another veteran that has prevailed this week.
Flagman is waving the white flag as we'll see Tony Stewart come across. No question that he got the white there. The yellow is in the air, but NASCAR goes off the caution lights as the official determination of the moment of caution.
Closer.
Their ruling is Stewart took the flag before the caution lights came on. The lights are triggered by the control tower, and that is the evidence used to determine whether or not the race is official.
It's closer than I thought it was going to be, though.
Yes, it was.
I thought he was well past the start line.
Tony Stewart salutes the fans at Daytona.
You know what I love, Mike? Drivers that never give up. A lot of guys would have driven off the track down there, come back up on and say, well, that's it. Car's tore all to pieces. Can't drive it.
The previous restart, Darrell, he was 17th. Fought his way up into the top 10. And then battled to the front with his car owner, Kevin Harvick.
Look at all those donuts down the right side.
I'd say he's pretty happy about this one.
He's going to get Mr. Clean all dirty. Got to see this again. You just got to see this again.
This is hard to believe.
That's at 190 miles an hour through the grass. But here's where a car would normally get the, it normally would bend the nose back severely right there. But apparently he had enough speed that it just jumped back up in the racetrack.
Dick Berggren's going to interview both the winning car owner and the runner-up driver.
And that's all the same guy. That's Kevin Harvick. And just a moment ago, you said you messed up at the end. How?
I didn't mess up. I didn't. There was so many cars to block there at the end, and you know, I told these guys on the radio, if you're going to lose to one, I guess the 2 or the 33 is the right one to lose to. But I knew when he was in front of me, if we didn't have a green-white checkered, it was going to be hard to get by us. But my hat's off to all these Hershey's Take 5 guys. They did a great job today, and you know, we saved our stuff there till the end, and 41 wasn't going to pull out, so I figured I needed to make something happen, and worked out all right.
Smart move. You did a great job of driving Goat back up. You did a lousy job of parking. Look at this. He's parked 90 degrees to the wall. Matt?
Well, Dale Jr., you just about congratulated everybody. How much fun was it out there?
Man, it was a good time. I was worried at the start, you know, about how this race was going to go. And everybody drove great, you know, so me and Mike were sitting back there waiting on the wreck. Never happened. So there we are. We drive on back up through there, and I was in good position. And Tony had a set of tires left over from getting drove down in the grass there. And
which were the great save there?
Oh, yeah, man. That was going to be big, you know, but that's Tony Stewart, you know, he can do anything. But he can drive off the track, on the track, don't matter. But it was awesome. I mean, that last couple of laps, even though we got beat, man, the people that beat us, they're fun to race with, you know what I mean? They kind of ganged up on the outside. It's just me and Martin down on the bottom, and Tony had new tires. It probably helped a little bit, and did what they had to do, man. Congratulations. Brand new team. I think it's Harvick's Busch car, so that's pretty cool. And just a fun day. We got some money, 3rd and 4th, ain't too bad.
Well, let's go talk to his driver who finished 4th. Steve?
With Martin Truex Jr., and tell us about the poker game at the end of the race, Martin.
The 41 didn't get a good start. Me and Junior got a little bit of a lead there, and I tried to push him once I got to Junior down the backstretch, and the 41 hit me, and we all got slowed up, and them 2 guys were coming. It's 21 to 33, so it was a good race. It was a lot of fun. We mixed it up all day. We went from the back to the front and the back again. Got spun out, and still got our first top 5 of the season, so we're pretty happy with our best pro car.
All right, thanks, Martin.
Thank you.
Well, 33-year-old Tony Stewart in a car owned by Kevin Harvick, the winner. Let's check in with the winner down in victory lane.
Well, he is driving Mr. Clean. You can come out now, sir. But you are Mr. Smooth. The celebration underway. Understandable. This is the first taste of several beverages of the day and the first taste of a Busch Series victory for Tony Stewart. Now that he's soaked and he's getting the hug, I'll make my way in. What are you doing here?
Winning damn
Where did you
races,
come
that's what I'm
from?
doing.
Where did you come from?
About 17th, I think, with 10 to go. So, man, this thing was good today. I mean, I'll tell you what, the 11 car was faster on speed, but these guys, Butch Hilton and all these guys on this Kevin Harvick Racing Team's crew, they did an awesome job. We kept freeing it up, and we just got a run there, and we went by. It was awesome.
You know, I heard you say on the radio you didn't want to toot your own horn with the save in the grass, but, you know, come on, that was pretty spectacular. And you even said it yourself, and it's justifiable. The boys upstairs, a lesser driver would not have held on. They would have called it a day.
Yeah, it makes you feel good. I mean, there wasn't anything wrong there. He didn't do nothing wrong. I didn't do nothing wrong. That's a product of circuit plate racing. And, you know, Carl came down there. He was apologizing. I said, bud, you have nothing to apologize for. That was just good, hard racing. So just glad we got it back up there. They did an awesome job, these guys did on the stop, getting the fender pulled out and getting it back together to where we could go out there and lead again.
Speak to your awesome job, because even on that stop, it took so long to get the fender out. A tire almost got away. You guys lost some time. You really appeared to be on a mission, especially after the spin in the grass. You were determined to get back to the front.
Well, when you got Mr. Clean on your side back there, if you don't win, he's going to get after you. So
Yeah, he's scary.
just got to thank Mr. Clean, Pro Series Auto Car Wash. I mean, these guys have really helped Kevin Harvick and Delaney get this program up and going.
Good job, buddy.
Well, you gotta believe if you're gonna get a Busch victory, this is the place to get it. As I ask you one final question and let you go, this has to be sweet to get it at Daytona.
Yeah, and this is, you know, I've worked a long time and tried to get a Busch win here, and not necessarily here at Daytona, just in general. And, you know, the times I've driven for DEI, we've dominated races and something's happened. So this is nice to finally get this first one under our belt now.
All right, congratulations. Go celebrate. Chris?
Tony Stewart has won couple hundred races at all levels. His first in the Busch Series. Time for the Mr. Clean Auto Dry finish, and that pass in the grass, maybe a drag in the dirt. Almost Earnhardt Sr.-like, the way that Tony Stewart handled this, and what made it special was that he hung around, as Darrell Waltrip said, hung in there, and then here's the pass, 17th, and then on that final restart, coming from 10th, to pull out in front and hold off Kevin Harvick to win. Mr. Stewart with Mr. Clean in his corner. Can Tony Stewart, who won the second race of the Gatorade Duel on Thursday and today, win his first Daytona 500 tomorrow? Could be a sample of things to come. We'll be back here on Fox in a moment. A terrific start to the 2005 Busch season. Nice to have you with us on Fox. The Hershey's Take 5. Hey, you know, actually Take 2 for Harvick and Tony Stewart, and two guys with aggressive driving styles and terrific personalities for this sport. So, you know, Mike Joy talked about, hey, what at Young Guns, it's more about the smoking veterans and smoke. Nicknamed Tony Stewart at age 33, adding to the experienced drivers. You see that Jimmy Johnson at age 29, as far as Speed Week success, so far it's been the experienced guys. Let's check in with a guy who has hundreds of years of experience around racetracks, Dick Bergman.
Oh, at least hundreds of years, Chris. Robbie Gordon has got this place figured out and this race figured out. Third in this event last year, fifth today, and that out of starting in the 21st position. How'd you do it?
You know, I think the biggest thing was tire management throughout the whole week, and not only throughout the week, but throughout the race. You had to have something for that last 5 laps. And we had 4 tires for that last caution, which was a good thing for us, and we were able to take the Fruit of the Loom Chevrolet into a top 5 finish. You know, there for a while when I was pushing Kevin, you know, I don't know where Tony got his team, but I was hooked up to Kevin, and he went by both of us. So I thought we were going to be second or third, but 5th place is pretty good.
A little while ago, he told me he did about 1,000 miles of straight line testing. That's usually done at 180 miles an hour. He said, oh, no, that's driving back and forth between the house and the shop. Matt?
Carl Edwards scored a top 10 finish today, and you walked up and you said, that was fun. That was fun, but what was the biggest thing you learned today? Could you name anything or just a lot of little things?
Just a ton of little things. The biggest thing I learned, I'll tell you about on Monday. But this is a blast. I got to thank everybody on the charter team. They worked really hard. And, man, Ford ran really well. That was wild with Tony Stewart down there.
What were you thinking when that happened?
Well, I was thinking, man, he gave up the bottom, and I stuck my nose in there, and he came across, and I thought, man, we can go to the end on fuel. I'm not lifting. And he turned and I guess saved it. He's the man today. That was congratulations to him and Kevin Harvick. They did a great job. He deserves that one.
Your 10th place finish today make you more excited about what you could see tomorrow with your Nextel Cup team?
Absolutely. The things I learned today, I think our Cup car is a little bit more strong than our Busch car was today, and hopefully we'll get one for Office Depot tomorrow. It'll be a blast.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.
Carl Edwards finishes 10th today here in Daytona. Steve?
Hey, Matt, let me tell you how much respect 19-year-old Reed Sorensen earned today. Dale Earnhardt Jr. just walked over, shook his hand, and said, way to keep that car in one piece, way to use your head. Reed, you ran in the top 3 much of the day. What did you learn today?
Well, first of all, I had a lot of fun. That was the first race for myself and Discount Tire and my whole team here at Daytona. And I had a lot of fun going from, I think we ended up 16th back there after a pit stop and came all the way back up to 2nd and 3rd right there. I was happy right there where I was, and I just wanted to keep the car in one piece. And there at the end, we got snickered by some of those Cup guys there, but I still had a great time, and it was a good start for us in the points. And I can't wait to come back here in July.
Thanks for your patience, Reed. We appreciate it. Let's go to Jeannie.
All right, Casey Kane, so many people come to Daytona and they just want to come out in one piece, a top 10 finish. You have to be feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah, that was close. You know, we were right up in there, and it's good for this Great Clips team. They did a good job getting down here, building the new Dodge Charger, and a good start to the season, a lot better than last year.
Did you have more in the car, just kind of ran out of time, or are you pretty happy with where you finished up?
Yeah, you just have to get people going with you and, you know, make the right decisions. It seems like the good guys always get to the front, and that's why Stewart and Junior, they're always up there. But, you know, we tried hard, and you just have to have people go with you. I had 1 or 2, but not nearly enough.
Any nuggets for tomorrow?
It was exciting today. Hopefully tomorrow is as exciting as today, and it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be long.
As exciting.
100 miles.
Yeah, as exciting and clean. Thank you, sir. Chris?
All right, thanks, Jeannie. And Tony Stewart, his first win in the Busch Series, and what an exhibition of driving he put on today, kind of adding to his legend. I mean, he's only 33 years old, but certainly was exciting.
He definitely had the desire to win today. I mean, he got that car out front early, hugged the bottom, did what he had to do, and the next thing you know, he gets that bump, and he doesn't quit. I mean, he saves that race car. I mean, it was an outstanding save on top of everything else, but when they restarted this race, after making all the repairs to the car, I mean, the way he clawed his way from the bottom to the top and finally found the right hole to get in position and win this race, I mean, it was just unbelievable to watch.
Tony Stewart, maybe the save of the week, unless the NHL saves its season, but that's another story. Let's go upstairs, rejoin for some final thoughts. Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy.
Tony Stewart has a mercurial temper. He has a passion about what he does. He is truly the A.J. Foyt of his generation. And Darrell, doesn't matter if it's dirt or asphalt or both in the same day. He may just be the best racer in America today.
Yeah, he really is. He's very versatile. He ran a 24-hour race here, led it forever. You know, he gets in a midget, a sprint car. Today, I mean, that's one of those, that's a highlight reel save.
Wow.
We'll be watching that for a long time. But as I think it was Reed said, you got to have been there. You got to be in there and know what to do. And the veterans, as he said, what did he say? He snickered them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, kids get snickered and old guys get snookered, I guess.
Okay. Larry, what we learned today, looking at tomorrow? Different aero package, but boy, what intensity.
Well, yeah, and handling, obviously, it plays a big role, as we've talked about all week. But what I learned today watching this Busch race, as we've seen all week here, that the veterans did prevail. But I was so impressed with some of these young guys making their first or second start here at Daytona. Denny Hamlin had a great run till he had to make an unscheduled stop. But very impressed with Paul Menard as well as Reed Sorensen, because I not only think that Reed Sorensen is going to be a contender for the Rookie of the Year, I think he could be a contender for this championship.
And Michel Jardine, who we'll see in Mexico here in a few weeks, finished 25th. He and his wife are expecting their first child. Nora, congratulations to you guys.
Yeah, the inexperience did not produce the problems that many anticipated. Experience, though, prevailed. Tony Stewart in victory lane. Chris?
All right, thanks, guys. And let's take a look back at how things started. Kyle Busch led on lap 1 from the second starting position, but watch Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car get tapped and then creating the caution here. This is on lap 48, second caution of the race. In the 33 car, a signal of things to come. Tony Stewart moving into the lead. Kyle Busch, who flirted with the lead for a while. Window comes off the car, bringing out a caution flag. And the teamwork of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Martin Truex Jr. getting them back to the front. Carl Edwards, he apologized. Tony Stewart said, hey, that's what you get when you have restrictor plate racing. Going through the grass, staying in the race. And then on this, Kenny Wallace problem with the wall and a tire problem, bringing out a caution. Dale Earnhardt Jr. took the lead back. Then after another caution, Tony Stewart gets the lead, and on a restart, coming from 17th and then 10th, to shoot towards the front with Kevin Harvick, his car owner, running second, and Tony Stewart rallies to win under caution his first ever Busch Series race. Now he's won every race everywhere, every different kind of way. A big day for him and Mr. Clean.